I finally took the time to sit down and watch the first How to Train Your Dragon film, I was completely naive as to what would ensue following this decision. I was a goner after that. I got my hands on the second film as soon as possible and shortly thereafter discovered the 2 TV shows, one being Riders/Defenders of Berk and the other being Race to the Edge, and finally was beyond excited to see the last film, Hidden World, which had just come to theaters. I was officially obsessed. But you know what rarely gets talked about? The 5 How to Train Your Dragon short films, which I know some of you heard that and said, "What short films?" Let's remedy this. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice discussing some beautiful How to Train Your Dragon content today. You know, it's been a hot minute since I made a video concerning this amazing franchise, and in the interim, I have seen comment after comment after comment after comment asking when I was going to be making more. Not to mention my older How to Train Your Dragon videos, they've been surging in views and comments as well, so this was long overdue. Alright, most How to Train Your Dragon fans are mostly only invested in the main trilogy, which is fine. Those are stellar pieces of work and were meant to stand on their own anyway. Then there's a decent amount of fans who love the Netflix series Race to the Edge, and an even smaller amount who know about the other 2 shows. Well, it's one show, but one's called Riders of Berk and the second season's called Defenders of Berk or something like that, so anyway. But an even smaller number of How to Train Your Dragon fans know about the 5 short films. This is both sad and understandable because I'm not going to lie, these are not really that great at all. But you know, sometimes you just want more, even if they're terrible and go against the established lore and character traits. Getting into that later. Naturally, each of these has both good and bad elements to them, and what I would list as good versus bad is probably going to be a little bit different than what you would put on each of those lists. So let's get into what I personally think is both the best trait and the worst trait of each of these How to Train Your Dragon short films, going in order of their release. The Legend of the Boneknapper Dragon. This one is definitely on par with the series Riders of Berk in terms of story and animation. It's incredibly silly and borderline unnecessary, but I did enjoy it for what it was. I would say the best trait this film has to offer is the fact that it is simple. The simplicity affords it to be what it is, just extra. And because of this, it doesn't mess with the established lore of the trilogy, nor with the character traits. Now, personally, I would say the worst thing about this short is what I alluded to earlier, which is that it is unnecessary. I said simplicity was good, and it is, but the downside to this is that it offers little in terms of story. It adds some lore, but really no story development, honestly. One could say that I could argue that for all of these shorts, but it was between that and animation, which I don't want to harp too much on animation considering they didn't have the budget like they did for the films, so it's not their fault. It was a little weird, but not that bad. And besides, at least they didn't do to the series what Disney did to Tangled. So yeah, there's a whole other rant about that in a different video, so we're going to move on now. The Book of Dragons is an odd one, but I think the best part of this short film is how much dragon lore we get. Sure, we get oodles of it in the TV shows, but having a short dedicated to this really satisfies the nerd in me. On the flip side, there is no story. They kind of break the fourth wall in the beginning-ish. It's really weird, and yeah, no story whatsoever. I feel as though getting an actual Book of Dragons would be better than making an entire short. Still happy to have it, but can we really call it a How to Train Your Dragon short film? I don't think so, but I guess it depends on who you're asking. The Gift of the Nightfury. Oh, now we are getting into some juiciness. This was the first ever How to Train Your Dragon short film I saw, and I loved 95% of it. It's hailed as the most well-known as well as the best of the 5 shorts, and while it may not be my favorite, it's pretty high up there. It's really close to number 1. The best thing about this short is its story and the lore it seamlessly adds. No, Snoggletog is never really talked about within the trilogy, but nothing here conflicts with the trilogy either. It has a strong story, it's well written, decently animated, great lore, and I love it. So what's with that 5% I don't exactly like? I know I'm not alone on this. Astrid. Look, I adore Astrid. Her design, character, growth, voice acting, she's awesome. However, I am not sure who wrote her lines or who directed America Ferrera, her voice actress, but they didn't do so good in my opinion. Astrid is so beyond weird in this short. She's not at all like the Astrid we know. Her character isn't at all consistent with what has been established in the first film and would be built upon in later films. If you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about, even if it didn't bother you. If you haven't seen this short, then why are you watching this video, first of all? And second, I encourage you to go watch it and see if you feel the same. You probably will if you're anything like me, but you may not. That's fine. However, everything else about this particular short was so good. Okay, I know I'm in the minority here, but Dawn of the Dragon Racers is my favorite of the How to Train Your Dragon shorts. My favorite thing is how seamlessly it connects the series Riders of Berk to the Netflix series Race to the Edge. And on top of this, as the title suggests, it gives us a background story for the dragon races we saw in the second film, which actually came out before this short and before the Netflix series Race to the Edge. The story and lore given here were so well done. Gift of the Nightfury could have been my number 1 if not for their portrayal of Astrid, but this one does just as well in terms of its story and even better justice to the characters we know and love. And thus, it's my favorite. But there has to be something I don't like about it. So what do I think is the worst part? The animation. Yeah, if I have to pick something, I'm going to say animation. And I know, I gave reason for not choosing animation for Boneknapper Dragon. And I claimed they were all pretty unnecessary. But this one at least added story and lore to the main trilogy and did it well, which is key and not usually what happens. So arguably less unnecessary than the other shorts, save for Gift of the Nightfury, but I have to pick something, so I'll say cheap animation. It's really not that bad, but I didn't say these had to be traits that were objectively bad, just what the worst part was in my opinion. So there you have it. If you have seen a decent amount of my How to Train Your Dragon content, then you know my saga and drama with the short that is Homecoming. It's my least favorite. I pretty much hate it. At the time when I was watching it, I had enjoyable moments, but looking back at all the shorts together, or even just this one, it's not good. I would say the worst part about this short, and there are many things I don't like, is how forced it feels, and is. At first I thought, is it the characters? Yeah, especially Nothing, he was done terribly, but also the story and the direction of the acting and so many things. Finally, I came to the conclusion that it was how forced and unnecessary it all was. Sure, all the shorts were unnecessary, but they had their own ways of making up for it. This one? Well, Hidden World was the perfect ending, so adding this was dumb and such an obvious cash grab, I suppose. Maybe not too much of a cash grab, but it didn't do anything for the lore or franchise. They just wanted to hopelessly capitalize on the cuteness of the Nightlights and Hiccup and Astrid's kids. Newsflash, it didn't work. It was weird, and while it didn't completely break lore or retcon too much, you might could justify some things about it, it really towed that fine line too happily. You could just tell they tried way too hard with it. I mean, they just ignore the fact that Valka and Aerith aren't there. Yes, I know, they probably couldn't afford the voice actors, that's fine. Although they did get stoic, but then you need to add something to the story to give a reason why they're not there. Don't just make us assume things. It's dumb. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm not a film writer. I recognize that. Though I did read on stream one time my poorly written personal fan short, How to Train Your Dragon film short thing. It wasn't good, but I enjoyed it. But I could talk ad nauseum about my thoughts on this, so let's move to best trait, which, did you notice I put worst trait first? That was because I wanted to end on a positive note. You're welcome. If I have to pick a best trait, I'll say animation. That was the only good thing about this short. Cheap animation. Although it was pretty decent. Or at least decent compared to what a dumpster fire everything else was. I'm not sure. It could be massive bias on my part. If you enjoyed this short, that is awesome, and I'm glad you did. I obviously just have a lot of issues with it, but they're just my personal opinions. We will survive. So yes, it's my least favorite, but that's okay. Just like with almost any piece of film, full length or short, you can find things that are both good and bad about it depending on who you're talking to. It'll be different and all that crazy stuff. Looking back, I thought all of these, maybe save for Homecoming, did a really good job of keeping things simple while also being gentle in how they added some story and lore and just being fun. Even though they were probably on a really tight budget and they were just kind of throwing it out there, they did well, especially my favorites Gift of the Nightfury and Dawn of the Dragon Racers. They're definitely not everyone's cup of tea, and sometimes not even mine. But if you have a franchise you are particularly obsessed with, you will watch everything. And even things you think are really bad. If you pick out some of the main franchises like Harry Potter or Star Wars or what have you, you will find the same thing where we get so involved, well, for me not Star Wars, but definitely Harry Potter, that we want to be a part of everything, but there will always be things that were like, was that really necessary? Yeah, these shorts were not necessary. They were cheaply made, but some of them had really nice moments in them, and I'm glad I get to watch them. As far as cheaply made shorts go, these were pretty darn good, save for Homecoming, but that's bias against it and certain moral things. I have videos on it. You can, don't worry about it. I hope you enjoy the shorts. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you are a massive How to Train Your Dragon fan and also enjoy these shorts, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know which one is your favorite. Unless it's Homecoming, then I don't want to hear it. I'm just kidding. If it's your favorite, that's totally fine. Everyone's entitled to that opinion. It's just a short film. Calm down. And if you did enjoy this video, I would encourage you to maybe join the geekdom, as we call it, by subscribing. And that way you can see more content and see it as it comes out, I guess, see if there's other things you like, watch streams when I'm able to do that from time to time. It's a lot of fun. And thank you so much to all of my Patreon supporters, especially Code and Data and Joking Batman. Y'all are amazing and incredible. Thank you again so much for your support. But anyway, that is all for today. Thank you for watching.